Greed makes monsters of men, but what happens when the final trick of fate turns their hunger into horror? When billionaire Richard Sterling's will is read, his children expect riches, but instead, they are left with a mystery that unearths dark family secrets, shatters illusions, and leaves them questioning everything they once knew. Who is Maria? And why did their father leave her everything? Stay with us as we unravel a story of betrayal, hidden bloodlines, and a shocking truth that will haunt this family forever. Subscribe to The Unseen Edges for more gripping stories that expose the unseen, the forbidden, and the deeply buried secrets of the powerful. The price of greed. The mahogany doors of Sterling and Moore law firm loomed like the gates of Judgment Day. Inside, beneath a chandelier worth more than most people's homes, Richard Sterling's 3 children sat in tense silence. The air smelled of leather, old money, and something else, greed, thick and suffocating. Gregory, the eldest, smirked. A lifetime of ruthless business moves had sharpened him into a man who only saw numbers, never faces. Elaine, the middle child, tapped her manicured nails against the polished oak table, impatient, expectant. And Philip, the youngest, shifted uncomfortably. He had always been the black sheep, the artist, the dreamer. But even he had come today with a hunger in his heart. The lawyer, a gaunt man with tired eyes, cleared his throat. "Let's begin," he said, opening the crisp envelope. "The estate of Richard Sterling is to be divided as follows." He paused, glancing at them. And then he dropped the bomb. "The majority of the fortune, including the Sterling estate, stocks, and offshore accounts, is left to a Ms. Maria Evans." The silence that followed was unnatural, the kind that comes before a storm tears through a town. "Who the hell is Maria Evans?" Gregory's voice was sharp, slicing through the moment. Elaine's eyes narrowed. "An affair? That old fool had a mistress?" Philip, ever the observer, only whispered, "Why?" The lawyer remained stoic. "Maria Evans was a nurse in Fairhope, Alabama. Your father's personal caretaker in his final months." "A nurse?" Gregory laughed, but it wasn't amusement, it was disbelief battling rage. "You're telling me a woman we've never met, never heard of, has stolen our inheritance?" "Perhaps," the lawyer said carefully, "you should find out who she really is." The unraveling. They found Maria Evans in a quiet, modest home far removed from the glitz and excess they had known. She wasn't young. Not some gold digger draped in diamonds. She was in her 50s, with kind but weary eyes, the sort of woman who carried both sorrow and wisdom in her gaze. "I wondered when you'd come," she said simply, inviting them in. Elaine cut straight to the point. "Who are you? And why did my father leave you everything?" Maria sighed, pouring herself a cup of tea but offering them nothing. She took a slow sip, as if savoring the moment before a truth shattered everything. Then, she reached for a wooden box on the counter, opened it, and slid an old, faded photograph across the table. A young Richard Sterling. Smiling. Holding the hand of a woman not their mother. And beside her, a child. A boy. Gregory snatched the photo. "What is this?" His voice trembled, but whether from rage or fear, no one knew. Maria met his eyes. "The truth. I am your father's daughter. His firstborn. Hidden away because he feared what your mother's family would do if they knew." The words landed like stones in their chests. "He paid for my mother's silence," Maria continued. "He sent money. But never love. Never his name. And when my mother died, I became nothing but a stain on his past. Until the cancer came. Then, suddenly, he needed someone who cared. Someone who would sit by his side, hold his hand when the pain got unbearable." She paused, looking at each of them. "Where were you?" Silence. "He didn't leave me the money out of guilt," Maria added. "He left it because I was there. When he could no longer count his wealth, when power meant nothing, he had only me." Philip's voice cracked. Did he ever mention us?" Maria exhaled. "He did. And in the end, he saw you for who you were. The deals, the absence, the hunger for more, it broke him before the cancer could. The lesson no one wanted." Gregory stormed out. Elaine sat frozen, a single tear slipping down her cheek. Philip, the only one who had never truly fit into the world of wealth, whispered, "I'm sorry." Maria smiled sadly. That's more than he ever got from the rest of you. As they left, the Sterling siblings were no longer just heirs without a fortune. They were something worse, souls without solace, prisoners of their own greed. And Maria? She remained in her quiet home, knowing she had inherited something far more valuable than money. She had inherited a father's final, fragile love. Because in the end, wealth can be taken. But the truth? The truth stays. And it haunts those who refuse to see it. Moral of the story. Greed may build empires, but it cannot buy love, loyalty, or time. In the end, true wealth is not measured by fortune, but by the hearts we touch and the love we leave behind.